So Steve Martin plays it. Oh, no, wait, sorry. That's the wrong Novocaine. This is the new one with Jack Quaid as a man who feels no pain.
Yes, Nathan Caine. He feels no pain. You and I don't feel the same way about this movie, apparently.
We don't.
I went to a sneak of it on Saturday night, and I thought, oh, this is so fun. And you don't agree with me. And that's fun when we don't agree.
Yeah.
It is okay. Come hang out with us. This is a really busy week, so we're trying to get to some stuff as early as possible. There's like 4 or 5 things that are of note opening this Friday, but we are going to get to a couple of them early, one of which is Novocaine. So come and hang out with us because we will do the big movies and we'll do the small movies and everything in between.
I'm just a regular guy with a regular job, but I've got this condition where I don't feel pain. Hey, there we go.
Oh my God, you're a superhero.
No.
So Jack Quaid stars as a mild-mannered bank manager, assistant manager, maybe?
Assistant manager.
He's not the full-on manager.
Right.
Adding to his everyman appeal, he's the assistant manager of a bank branch in San Diego. And from the very beginning, you realize that something is a little bit off about his life. He is extremely careful about everything. And I think the production design and the way this early part of it is paced, it says a lot about him very efficiently as far as how he lives his life.
All the corners of his apartment have tennis balls taped to them.
Yes. He's very careful about everything. And so you wonder why that is. He has a crush on a coworker played by Amber Midthunder. She is a teller at the bank. And he's just so shy. He doesn't know how to approach her, doesn't know how to talk to her or anything, but she approaches him and they hit it off and they have a really nice time together and they have very cute chemistry with each other. I think the two of them have a nice rapport. And then one day, some bank robbers come in Santa costumes, which means that now Novocaine is a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is, because it's a Christmas Eve bank robbery, because, of course, all banks are open on Christmas Eve, but we'll go with that.
Yes. So they're all wearing Santa outfits, and it is intense, and it's brutal, and bad things happen, and they take Amber Midthunder's character hostage. Her name is Sherry. His quest from this point on is to try and find her. He's got to find this confidence in himself that has been squelched by his cautious nature. And you find out what this is about. And that is that he can't feel pain. He was born with some irregularity in his body, some sensory thing where he's got to be so careful about everything he does that he might like bite down on his tongue while he's eating and then not even know it and bleed out. Is this a real thing?
I don't think so, but, you know, who knows?
I don't want to be dismissive if this is an actual malady that afflicts people. Or you can't feel pain.
Just go with it.
It's a device.
Yes.
And so he has to go and save her with his particular set of skills. Twists and turns ensue. You have the main bad guy is Ray Nicholson. So you have Dennis Quaid's kid and Jack Nicholson's kid kind of squaring off against each other. Did that not occur to you?
I did not know that was Jack Nicholson's kid, but he's got the eyes. He's got the steely, Torrance eyes. So that explains a lot.
And a similar kind of like unstable quality that is potentially very unsettling about it.
Sure. He's great. Yeah.
Right. Broad-shouldered and intense. This is directed by Dan Berk and Robert Olsen. This is written by Lars Jacobson. And so I had fun with this. Like, I think they do a really good job with a lot of the setup and payoff as far as like, okay, you know, this thing is going to happen. You see in a kitchen, a fight in a restaurant kitchen, you see a hot skillet there on the stove. You know, it's only a matter of time before this gets used as a weapon. And then they do that very, very effectively over and over again. And Jack Quaid just has this incredible everyman likability that felt like a young Tom Hanks to me. And maybe that's because he's tall and skinny and has kind of curly hair, but he's giving me like Splash era Tom Hanks. And so I thought, you know, that carries us, that does a lot to carry us through in this wild, over the top scenario. It loses steam for me as it goes along because people should be dead that are not dead. There are things that happen, shootouts and fights and like bodily injury to people, things that become increasingly implausible. I guess you've just got to go with this conceit that anything can happen. But I felt like, come on. We got a nice supporting cast here, including Gabriel as one of the detectives and Matt Walsh. And Matt Walsh has like the laugh out loud line in this movie for me because he's just like slovenly and does not care about his job at all as a detective. So I had a good time for a long time.
I was down for the idea of this movie. I think it's I like a big high concept premise that we're just supposed to go with, and it becomes the conduit for like mayhem. And I don't think there's enough mayhem. The movie that I thought of immediately was Crank. Right.
Oh,
so the whole thing where like, he's got to keep defibrillating himself because his heart has to be beating at a certain pace, like his heart is the bus in speed, right? He has to keep it at a certain, a level. And that movie is just fucking nuts and nonstop and just this relentless barrage of craziness. And it doesn't give you time to breathe, let alone think. This movie's 110 minutes, and
is it?
It is, and given and yeah, again, like no good movie is too long and no bad movie is short enough, but like it should just be, if you're going to have this nutty high concept thing, if he can't feel pain, it should be as go as a movie like Crank is, and it isn't, and it stops and it pauses and it has these moments to do other things, and it's kind of like you're losing me because this is ridiculous, but I won't think about how ridiculous it is if you just keep going.
It's not ridiculous enough for you.
Exactly. I like Jack Quaid as a performer. I think he's really engaging. I don't think he can pull off this kind of sheltered, nebbishy guy. The whole idea is, here's this guy who has this sort of superhuman ability, but rather than use it out in the world and in the way that he's suddenly having to do it because he wants to rescue the girl, he's been so sheltered, like he literally never eats solid food. His whole apartment is a safety, like baby proofed basically. His only friend is this guy that he talks to when he plays video games,
Batalon.
Jacob
he gets to be the
Batalon.
guy in the chair again.
Exactly. Like there's and I didn't buy Jack Quaid as that because I think he's just so sort of naturally charismatic.
I see.
I don't know if he has it in him to play, to take us on that journey that this character should be taking us on, from like, sheltered little, nebbishy guy to like big brash, duking it out with bank robbers guy.
So you want like a blandly kind of like average guy.
Yeah.
Not someone who is that cute.
Or charismatic at least. Like that character I think needs to blossom. And I don't think that he gets to do that. Also, you bring up the Christmas of it. And I got to say, Shane Black has conditioned us to like take in Christmas in a sunny climate and do it in a fun, fakey way. Like he loves the sort of plastic snow and like pretending to be winter that happens in Southern California. If you look at a movie like Lethal Weapon or Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, unless he's in a snowy climate like Long Kiss Goodnight and he gets to fully indulge in it. This movie, after the Santas rob the bank, there's not a wreath or a garland or anything to be found, and I think they could have had some fun with that. This movie's set in San Diego, shot in South Africa.
It was shot in South Africa?
It was shot in South Africa.
That's weird.
So like, you've got this, it's very balmy, and there's a whole tradition of the kind of the balmy Christmas movie, even the balmy Christmas action movie. And if you're going to introduce that, then like play with that. That's a thing that you can have in your paint box to do stuff with. And they just sort of, they abandon that. And that's just, to me, that just feels like another thing of this movie not thinking it through and not taking advantage of the stuff that it has put on the table, whether it's the pain thing or the Christmas thing or whatever, So ultimately, I just kind of felt like this movie has one big idea and then it doesn't really juice it as much as it could have.
That's a good point, though, with the Christmas of it all, because they could have used like lights or wreaths or many, many things as weapons.
Sure. Yes, exactly.
But then it becomes a violent night, I guess.
but there are a lot of permutations within that, I think, and so again, look at almost any Shane Black movie. Yeah. He loves that shit. And he's really figured out a way to make it fun and visually interesting and thematically appropriate. And this film just doesn't bother.
I disagree that he does not blossom, because by the end, he is much tougher in the interior and in the way that he is dressed and carrying himself. That indicates that like he is coming into his own and seizing his power. I
mean, yeah, that's as written, and I think any actor playing that role is going to do that. But I'm just saying, in terms of him doing it visually, or in terms of his personality, I didn't get as much as I would have liked to have.
What's your number on Novocaine?
I give it a 5.5. I think it's a fun idea. I like I wish Amber Midthunder and Betty Gabriel and Matt Walsh had gotten more to do. I think they're all really kind of underutilized, but I did like Baby Nicholson.
Ray Nicholson, who's also in Smile 2.
Right, which I've not seen. But I thought he was great and a memorable villain. I just wish this movie had the courage of its convictions to just be like, fuck it, we're doing this, you know?
I'll say a 7.8. I had a good time, but eventually I'm like, all right, people should be dead. This is stupid. Novacaine's in theaters this weekend. Will you see it? Let us know.